Hello everyone. Welcome to Programming in C for Beginners. This is fourth tutorial, Language Translator. Actually, Language Translator is a software which is used to convert a language into another language, and especially machine language. Now, what is the need of language translators? Now, language translators are required because of the invention of assembly language and high level language, because they need to be converted into machine language. Now, what are these language translators? Depending upon the language that we are using, we choose our translator. Now, if we are using assembly language, we definitely use an assembler. So we are going to study about them. But basically there are three types of language translators: assembler, compiler, interpreter. Now before we move on and we study about each of these language translators, let's talk about few related terms like source code. Now the language in which the program is written is the source code. So if we have written our program in C language, then our source code is in C language. Object code, the language in which the program is translated to, or the target language, basically and most of the times machine language. So an assembler is a language translator that converts a source code into an object code, or in other words, an assembly language program into machine language program. Now, assembler produces the executable code after translating assembly language. That means once an assembly language program is converted or translated into machine language program, so a separate file for a machine language program will be created. And we have to run that executable code or object code or machine language program so that computer can execute those instructions. The next two language translators are compiler and interpreter. There are quite similarities and dissimilarities between them. Well, I would say there are a lot of dissimilarities than similarities. Now let's see. Now both of these language translators are used to convert high-level language program into machine language program, and definitely it's a similarity. But compiler translates the source code whole at once, whereas interpreter translates it line by line. That means if a program is of 20 lines, or if a program contains 20 lines, so the compiler will translate all those 20 lines together and create a new file. Well, that will be the next point. But interpreter will translate one line at a time. Now there is one more thing that an interpreter does. We will see that. Compiler creates an executable code after translation, whereas interpreter executes the program after translation. Now, this is a major difference. Now, compiler creates an executable code just like an assembler, but it does not execute it. That means we have to run that code so that rest of the instructions in that executable code can be executed. Whereas an interpreter not only translates the program, it also executes it. And the important thing is, without producing an executable code. So an interpreter will not produce any sort of executable code for you. Compiler will not translate the program in case of any error or bug. Generally, errors are known as bugs. Whereas interpreter will translate and execute till the line of code with error. Of course, it will not execute the line that is containing the error, but till that line it will execute rest of the code. So in case of any error, compiler is not going to translate the program. It's going to stop right over there telling you about the error. But in case of interpreter, it will execute till that part of the error. Now, I am talking about a certain error. Well, we will discuss about errors later down the line in our videos. But here right now, I am talking about those errors which a compiler or an interpreter can tell you. There are certain errors which they can't tell you. So, of course, in those situations, both of them will perform their job. So, I guess that marks the end of this tutorial. Hope to meet you in the next video tutorial. Till then, thank you and happy programming.